morning, good afternoon, technically, out here along the west coast. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Wednesday. A couple more days to Friday, and then the weekend is upon us once again. It is about 12:42 here, August 16th, 2023. Did have some activity ramping up overnight in our watch zone and some larger movement as well into the Vanuatu area. Let's get right into it. The latest earthquake, though, shows a 1.8 with a continued earthquake swarm here in the Big Island, Hawaii, at the Kilauea Volcano. We'll check on that volcano here in just a little bit. We are watching a swarm of activity up here across the Kuril-Kamachaka Trench. This all began just about midnight or so, getting some various magnitudes here right smack dab in the hazard zone. I call it the hazard zone because I believe this area is long overdue for a mega quake. It's a major accumulated slip rate area of some high strain. It doesn't take a whole lot of years to accumulate, a decent enough strain for a large earthquake. Average slip rate here within the Kuril-Kamachaka, roughly around 83. Certain areas a little bit higher, certain areas a little bit lower, but you can see the subduction zone here of the Kuril-Kamachaka. It's going to be right up here against the Pacific. This is the Pacific plate, North American plate here in the brown. All this area reinforced by the Eurasia plate behind it, creating some incredible strain out there. And that's where we're seeing a pretty good earthquake swarm taking place here today. So we'll continue to watch this area for that larger scale movement. We did see some activity down here in the Vanuatu area, 6.5 earthquake, pretty large earthquake for this area, 193 kilometers deep. We have been watching a swarm of activity bouncing back and forth here with some deeper movement quakes here. But if you guys remember, right, this was our quiet zone here for a couple days. And I've said it time and time again here on each update video that, watch those quiet zones. When it goes quiet for more than a couple days like that, things are building up in a big way. And sure enough, bada boom, bada bang, we got a 6.5 in the Vanuatu area, just north of Port Vila. Previous to that, last night at 5.2. But for the most part, things have been very minimal across this area, with bouncing back. Again, deeper movement quakes here across Tonga and further adjustment pretty much west of the New Guinea area, leaving this in the quiet seismic area with very minimal movement. But now, as you can see, 6.5. That earthquake coming in about 5 in the morning or so, my time. Since then, let's see if we got any further movement here. Another earthquake back building over here against the Tonga Trench. Not a deep one. This is some surface adjustment going on. But if you notice that 6.5 made a little adjustment here, right? Probably put some more strain up against this area. But also at the same time, it affects the regions back behind it along the plate boundary. Again, the general plate movement in this area, right, let's see, right about where these two arrows are. Let me show you guys real quick. These two arrows is where the 6.5 struck this morning, right about in this area here. Either way, the general plate movement is going towards the northwest of the Pacific plate here. The arrows pointing off towards the Kuril-Kamachaka and the Filipino plate. When we get earthquake activity out here, obviously strain builds in this region, but also at the same time, adjustment can take place back behind here, as the adjustment is just, it's when you move one piece of the puzzle, it kind of affects the other piece of the puzzle, and it could be thousands of miles away. But we did see some adjustment back here at the Tonga Trench. Shallower earthquake activity first, and now followed by that's actually, both of these are pretty shallow here. 4.9 and 5.4, about 26 kilometers deep or so. So we continue to watch this area. Yesterday did see some movement here into the deeper regions of the Tonga Trench, that 4.7, 584 kilometers deep. Adding just enough strain for overnight to see that large earthquake activity. And then, of course, the cycle will again follow, but I think we got to watch this area up here around the Kuril-Kamachaka Trench for now, with that movement taking place there. New Zealand, let's go ahead and check out the GeoNet servers here. Go to the earthquake map from GeoNet. It looks like 3.3 from yesterday. As far as the all magnitudes here, a couple smaller ones, a 2.4 an hour ago or so here. North Island, New Zealand, 3.7 an hour ago off the tip of South Island. Get some activity stirring up down there, it looks like. Let's double check the earthquake drum map here and see what we have. We'll probably spot that 3.7 a little bit further south on the maps here. There's some activity from last night, some smaller movement quakes. 3.7 is going to be, there we go. Do you guys see it? This is the vicinity of the seismograph stations here, the red dot. And of course that 3.7 showing up here within the last couple hours, mainly across the South Island, New Zealand stations. The rest of the world out here, Java Trench and whatnot, I'm sure they have some smaller quakes. Again, I'm not using the EMSC for all of the data here, but USGS only reporting 4.4 out here just south of the Philippines. We are seeing some movement over here across areas of the Caspian Sea. That was from yesterday, 5.2, but it looks like Turkey area seeing some further aftershock activity with at least a 4 in there. 2.7 coming in right now. Scattered activity across the rest of the Mediterranean. We are seeing a swarm of activity again across the Azores out here in the Atlantic. But aside from that, no major large-scale movement taking place out there for now. The Big Island of Hawaii, different story. I don't believe we've hit the eruptive status yet. Sometimes it takes a couple days. Right now, we're getting some deeper movement quakes here below the Kilauea area. That could be a sign of further magma movement going on within the plumbing system here of the Kilauea volcano. 1.7 and a 1.9, 6 kilometers and 2 kilometers deep. So things are looks like they are gearing up. Overnight, did see a couple further 1s out here and some 2s. Let's double check the latest informational statement here from the USGS. See if they put one out. Goodness. Alrighty, HVO, let's check it out. Daily update, just put out. Kilauea volcano is not erupting. The Kilauea summit is currently exhibiting signs of elevated unrest, and there's been no unusual activity noted across the rift zones for now. Beginning yesterday and lasting for several hours, a swarm of approximately 50 earthquakes occurred at the depth of about 1 to 2 miles below the surface, over a 1.2 mile region there directly south of the crater there at Kilauea volcano. This swarm was likely caused by movement of magma. There you go. That's the official word there from the USGS. It makes sense, right? And the South Caldera region, and is a process observed consistently at the summit. Summit tilt meters showed no appreciable inflation associated with the earthquake swarm. Not yet. Elevated seismicity decreased following the swarms and remained steady, but still elevated compared to the previous week. So we'll continue to watch this as, it's definitely gearing up, I believe. And those deeper movement quakes that we're looking at are obviously signs of further magma movement coming up from deep in the plumbing system there of the Kilauea volcano, which currently sits at a yellow and advisory. This will change, obviously, as we advance a little bit more here in the coming hours and days. I want to check out the camera systems out here. Just want to see if we got any visible smoke. I know last night we seen a little bit there around the crater area. It looked a little odd. No mention of that, though, from the USGS. I think the caldera is going to be the first one right here. There it is. So to me, that looks like some type of volcanic gases coming up here, which wasn't visible in previous days until this earthquake swarm started kicking up. So looks like, it may still be down there a little bit, but these volcanic gases are escaping to the surface. This is local time here, August 16th, 2023, 8:52 a.m. Hawaii time. So pretty recent image here with that observed smoke coming up from the Kilauea volcano crater area. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, deeper movement quakes there in the area. We should see an increase in earthquake swarming following those deeper quakes. The rest of the Big Island pretty quiet out here, except for some movement there across Bahala. All right, California is still getting some activity over here across the Indio area, right here off the San Andreas Fault. This is just literally a fraction off the San Andreas Fault, the southern edge here. Now, I'm going to be down here to cover this hurricane, which I'm going to talk about here at the end of this video. I'm not for sure exactly where I'm going to hang out at, but goodness. It got me a little worried because this type of earthquake swarming right here just off the San Andreas Fault tells me that the strain is transferring off the plate boundary to a very local nearby fault called, looks like the Purdue Canyon Fault. And when we see increasing activity just on this side of the plate boundary or anywhere, up against the plate boundary, that's a sign of increasing pressure out here. And, just kind of can't help but wonder how much more is this area going to be able to withstand. The potential for a large damaging earthquake, I believe, increases, when we see these little swarms, not to mention the massive amount of rainfall that this area is going to see here from this, it's not going to be a hurricane when it hits California, it's going to be a tropical system, but there's a lot of rainfall expected here across this region of the plate boundary, and that could do it. I don't know how long it would take to soak down into the areas, but I believe this area is ripe for the big one. All it takes is a little bit of soaking down, and this is a surface fault system. A lot of times we get those breaks all across the surface down into the deeper regions below. So yeah, we're going to watch this pretty closely here. But either way, I'm going to be out here covering the weather event in Southern California. I don't know when I'm taking off, but I'm looking at some weather models soon. All right, so we got that to worry about. Watch that across the San Andreas Fault. A little bit of activity across Bakersfield. For the most part, though, the rest of California, very minimal movement. Same for the Pacific Northwest. Yellowstone National Park, looks like a little activity across the area today. Let's double check that there from the Yellowstone thumbnails site. I see that over here across the Maple Creek area, a couple small earthquakes there from yesterday. Not a whole lot today. And I'm trying to find the 6.5 that kicked off there in the Vanuatu area earlier this morning. A lot of times these larger earthquakes, thousands of miles away, will leave a signature of the S waves or something across these seismograph stations, but kind of hard to spot from this one. Maybe down here across the Grant Village area could potentially be it. Looks like around the right time frame. All right, let's move on past there. Texas, Oklahoma, just scattered activity, nothing major going on across the rest of the country. Puerto Rico area, handful of smaller quakes, but not a whole lot going on right now. Most of the pressure out here seems to be positioned across the western Pacific, mainly up here across the Curl-Kamchatka. But look at this buildup going on down here. So not a whole lot across the South America region. As you can see, some smaller fours, but man. All right, let's go ahead and move on past this. Check out the weather forecast here for today. We got the current day 1 outlook. Chance of thunderstorms out here again, Southern California up to Northern Cal, and a good portion of the desert Southwest. Slight risk for some severe weather up into the Minnesota area. Looks like the Rochester area, Duluth. Main threat's going to be some wind and hail events up there. This is for August 16th. Minnesota, Wisconsin, and western upper Michigan. But aside from that, looks like just mainly hail and wind threats. Small percent for tornado probability. They're at about 2%. We'll have to check the outlook here in the coming days far as the flooding potential out here across Southern California. Now, currently, Tropical Storm Hilary, right here, Tropical Storm Hilary. This is the latest information here from the National Hurricane Center and the Central Pacific Hurricane Center there at NOAA. As of 10 a.m. Wednesday, it is off the coast of Mexico. It is expected to strengthen into a hurricane. How strong of a hurricane will remain to be seen. Definitely above the 75 mile per hour range. And that will continue to remain at hurricane strength until it goes roughly right around the Southern California area, just south here. Now there's a little bit of question on how strong this is going to be. There's a couple dynamics at play. We got a high pressure system kind of off into the Pacific. Let me bring up the most recent map here and show you guys what's going on. Either way, the model agreements here are very consistent, even from last night to today. Notice that hurricane hitting Southern California. There's Hurricane Hilary down here off the coast of Baja. As we put that into motion, it looks like, you know, even way ahead of this system here, California is getting a soaking right there over the San Andreas Fault. Southern California, 29 Palms, Salton Sea area. These areas don't see a whole lot of rainfall. In fact, over the winter time, most of this area was somewhat dry because, you know, you got the mountain ranges over here squeezing out the moisture. LA and areas in the mountains had, you know, pretty good amount of rainfall and snowfall in the mountains there this past winter. So it kind of skipped this area. They got a little bit of rainfall, but nothing what they're going to get from this system coming in. We're talking about inches of rainfall, and right over the San Andreas Fault, right there near the Salton Sea. You can see the Salton Sea. Let's go ahead and bring up the let's see here. Watch this again. Southern California is just going to start getting the, I guess you can kind of call it the outer bands, but either way, it's a lot of moisture being pulled up, shot up north here ahead of the arrival of this tropical system there. You can see the thunderstorm activity building up throughout the weekend. The main brunt here is still south in Baja California, but look at the excessive rainfall rates here. We're going to be seeing some pretty big flooding out there, I have a feeling. Flash flooding, definitely. And right, you know, right about, it looks like probably around Sunday into Monday time period is when it's supposed to make the landfall out there. Where the, here it shows 7 a.m. Monday as a tropical storm, it looks like. Winds should dramatically drop by then, so it'll still be a little bit windy, but the rainfall is going to be the big deal out there. 7 a.m. Monday. Look at these. Look at this weather model once again. Right there. LA is going to get a good soaking. San Diego as well, but the brunt of this GFS model showing, you know, right over the San Andreas Fault, the southern segment. 29 Palms area. I'm probably going to be right around that area documenting this system because it's not too often do we get this type of setup out there. And look at it, it's still pretty powerful here, just south of the border. Baja California going to get some good winds from this system. Again, we'll see how strong this system is, see how, you know, well put together it will be once it does make landfall here. Either way, if you're down there in Southern California, you have quite a drenching coming your way, and I will be down there covering this event. Again, a lot of activity prior to the arrival of the hurricane, and that's just due to the, you know, the high moisture content out here getting pulled up into the Southern California area, even well before the main system hits. It's going to be a dandy. Really, pretty good one. Let's check out the precipitation and moisture map here. Total accumulated precipitation rates. Now check this out. This is something rare for Southern California. Looks like a pretty good, this pretty much covers the entire hurricane coming through. Now, some of these models down here just north of the Salton Sea, which is, let me bring this up just a tad bit. Salton Sea is going to be right about here where this X is on the screen. Notice that impressive rainfall rate just to the west here, heading up into the 29 Palms area, it looks like. Those are estimates of maybe 9 inches, 10 inches of rainfall, according to this map over here. Even if you were to go down, drop into the red, some of the lighter colors, we're still talking about 6 or 7 inches. So this is going to be a big time event, big time. For this area. I expect definitely quite a bit of flooding. Hopefully they're getting prepared for this, as far as cleaning out drains and whatnot. I don't even know if that's going to help, but hopefully they'll figure it out. Either way, I'll be down there trying to document this thing. But yeah, that's pretty impressive, folks. Can't wait to see how that comes about. And again, most of the weather models are showing and all in agreement with this type of setup. Let me show you guys the windy map here. Let me go back a little bit. I think I got the most recent. Let me check here. Friday, 6 p.m. These are wind gusts, right? Wind gusts. Got winds up there around 92 miles an hour associated with by then Hurricane Hilary. Saturday. Now this, I'm trying to think here. Saturday, look at that. A lot bigger potential out here. Of course, the strongest winds are going to be, for the most part, around the northeastern area of the eye wall. It does show a little bit of weakening prior to the arrival there in Southern California, and that's due to a high pressure system off here. Look at this. Look how huge that is, creating some upper level winds and just squashing it, trying to squash that hurricane down. So I'm going to watch this really closely, see what the pattern is here probably tomorrow before I do make that jump down to Southern California. But either way, I think I'm 99% certain I'm going to head down there to document this. I don't think, it's going to shred it. This north wind, this high pressure system is going to put a damper on its party. But it will be making landfall there. As you can see, it gets disintegrated. There's the center of circulation, still bringing in some decent rain or decent wind. Looks like about 60 miles an hour or so off the coast of Southern California. And they said, 7 a.m. or so Monday for the landfall. In the afternoon, you can see that just spread out across Southern California, get destroyed. There's the center of circulation just off Los Angeles. Some wind in there as well, probably 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts there, just off the coast of Southern California. And of course, around the mountaintops, it would be a little bit higher potentially. But either way, I think look at this little valley right here. There might be some rain shadows out there. Rain shadows meaning that areas that may not see a whole bunch of rain compared to other areas that will. There's 29 Palms. So yeah, we'll definitely watch that and see how it plays out, folks. I think it's going to be a dandy of a system. And after that, going into Tuesday, it's just struggling. It looks like it may provide a little bit of wind up here in Northern California, which isn't good because we have fires going on now. All sorts of fires from the lightning. So yeah, we'll definitely watch that. Let me see what we got for our Watch Duty map. Watch Duty app is a cool application there for your phone, also your computer, to check out current and past fires. If you notice these outlines here showing historical fires within the last 5 years, and these are some damaging ones as well. Not a whole lot to burn here in Northern California, but we did get some new fires out here. Pilot Fire, the 110 fire, Sproul Fire, Deep Upper Fire, Elliott Fire, all sorts of these all over the place in areas that haven't burned yet. So you can expect, if these get out of control here, Head Fire kind of blew up here. It looks like 2,700 acres. You can expect this whole map here to look like this, just outlined with fires that have happened historically. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot left to burn in Northern California. Southern California doesn't look like there's, they burned a lot of the Sierra National Forest and areas around the areas down south here as well historically. But far as right now goes, this fire looks like it's getting under control. This was a big one. This was almost 100,000 acres here. 98% containment right now. This was the York Fire. there in the Mojave National Preserve. You got to think about this. All these fires, and they're going to put a whole bunch of rainfall on this. This could be an unprecedented event down here, far as mudslides and whatnot goes. Well, gee, goodness. So, either way, it's just one of those things. We're going to watch and see how it plays out. Could use some rain up here in Northern California. We might get a little bit. I know Oregon needs some rain as well. Got a couple huge fires up here in southern Oregon, and also up here outside of Eugene in the mountains. This is all green. A lot of pine trees up here. But look, everything's just burning. Not good. Pretty soon Oregon's going to look like California. Not a whole lot to burn. Right now there is, but hopefully it stays that way, that stays green. I'm not a big fan of seeing burnt up forest. All right, anyway, folks, I'm going to jump off here and continue to monitor these weather patterns here in the coming days. Well, actually, yeah, I may take off sooner. I don't know. Today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Who knows? I may head down there over the weekend. Either way, there's going to be a lot of rainfall coming before the main system hits there Monday morning around 7 o'clock. So this weekend's going to be a wet one down there across Southern California. And Desert Hot Springs. That's pretty much right on the San Andreas Fault. I don't know how comfortable I'm going to feel just riding that area down there. Either way, I'll be out there, folks, to monitor. I'll be live streaming it as well. That's a given. I'll definitely make sure I be sharing my views with you guys as I go out and document the Hurricane Hilary there that hit Southern California. It won't be a hurricane, but like I say, it'll be some type of tropical storm, and then eventually tropical depression, and then just gets shredded. All right, guys, we'll catch you back here a little bit later tonight, unless something major changes. Again, keep an eye on Kilauea Volcano. That is still showing some signs of elevated activity. The latest one, a 1.9, again 2 kilometers below surface. The previous one was 6 kilometers below surface within the swarming area. So I believe we're getting magma moving right from the previous activity at the shallow levels, but now that appears to be some type of makeover going on underneath the area of the plumbing system that could obviously be a sign of further recharging down below. So we'll watch this pretty closely and of course report back on it should anything change. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, and we'll chat you guys a little bit later this afternoon. It's 106 right now, just outside of Chico, California, here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:11. All right, have a good one, folks.